so messy. Think you're ready to get started, Kelsey?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Take a Break with Jake. My name is Jake, and I'm here with my pal Hope, who's a beautiful clouded leopard. She's really interested in your phone today. How cute. Hope is a clouded leopard, which is kind of one of our flagship species here at the Nashville Zoo. We talk a lot about them. We have a lot of success breeding them and raising them here in human care. Do you have to cough? There you go. When she sucks down the goat's milk that I'm giving her, sometimes she like slurps it into the wrong hole, and then she's like, and now she's gonna try to eat my palms. Okay, that's fine. Well, let me tell you guys a little bit about clouded leopards and why they're so cool. There are two species of clouded leopards that live over in Asia. The mainland clouded leopard is this species. They live in mainland Asia. You can find them in a variety of different countries and habitats, and we'll talk a little more about that later. And there's also another species of clouded leopard that lives mostly on Borneo and Sumatra. And they are pretty similar, but they're different enough that they are classified as different species. And from my research, that's like been changing back and forth for a couple decades. Scientists kind of determine where different species should be placed within the family line. And it just depends on what they find at the moment and what research they're looking at. But at this point, they're classified as two separate species. So Hope and other clouded leopards max out right around 35 to 40 pounds for the females and a little bit larger for the males. They have incredible strength in their jaws, and they have the largest tooth-to-body ratio of any of the big cats. And you can probably see her as she's chewing on this non-toxic palm. Cute. They live in the foothills around the Himalayas and around other large mountain and hillside ranges. They like to live in forested regions, and that's where they use their beautiful camouflage, all these spots all over their bodies to help blend in with the forest around them and hide from their prey, which is a variety of different terrestrial vertebrate species. So things like primates and squirrels and rabbits, all kinds of little things. Lizards and birds also make up part of their diet in the wild. And so we recreate that here at the zoo by offering whole prey in a variety of different ways. So her base diet is horse meat that's ground up, and it has extra nutrients in it to make sure that she's getting everything that she needs here in human care. But she also gets guinea pig and rat and mouse and chick and quail and even cow rib bones to make sure that she's getting all those crunchy bits that she needs to ensure that her teeth are growing properly and staying nice and clean. She's giving you the tail. It's a really good look at how giant their tails are, and because, like I mentioned before, they spend a lot of time in forests, they're actually one of the best climbers in the entire cat family. They have extra short front legs, longer back legs, and this super long tail that allow them to balance way high up in the trees as they're running around, and they have extra large foot pads that help them grip on. Now, clouded leopards, like other cats, have retractable claws, which means that they can pull their claws back into sheaths within their paws to make sure that they're not out all the time, and this allows them, she found a nice little feather over there that she's sniffing, this allows them to grab onto the branches of the trees while they're running or grab onto their prey as well. Hi, Hope. She's really not interested in us today, Kelsey. She's really just interested in exploring.
That's all right.
Fine.
I'll forgive her.
Yeah. Hi, Chuffy Pants. They make a variety of different vocalizations. We just heard a little chuff from her. We'll see if I can get her up here, and then we'll try to get her to chuff again so we can all hear. Oh, she's like on a mission. Okay, hang out here with us, girlfriend. All right, let's see if we can get her to chuff. That's like just the whine. Hold on. Oh my gosh, she's just whiny. She's like, just give me the milk. Come on.
Come on.
I can relate to that, girlfriend. Can we try one more time? Hope. Hope-a-dope. Nothing from her today as far as chops go. She really just wants to whine, and that's fine too. That's one of their many vocalizations that they make to communicate different things. In today's case, she's just like, I just want the milk. Can I have that, please? She's asking nicely, so I guess we'll give her some more here. This is diluted goat's milk powder that I then mix with water to create this tasty milk concoction that she then slurps up happily.
And drips everywhere.
Everywhere. But it's a nice healthy treat for her, and it's a good way to keep her happy while she's out working around here at the zoo.
You're in the background now.
Oh, Hope. Do we have any questions so far, Kelsey?
You know, I got so caught up in following her with my, I kind of didn't see. I don't think I see any. Does she like to eat fish too?
I've never offered her fish. We have some krill. Maybe we'll try a little piece of krill later and see if she's interested in that.
Question from Kaylee, or I think, where do they live and what is their habitat like?
Okay, so I mentioned a little bit earlier, so when you go back through the video, you can get like a more in-depth version of that. But clouded leopards are found over in Asia, and they primarily live in forested regions. Now, the clouded leopard is different from other species of leopard. There's like African leopards, which is the same species as Asian leopards, but those are not clouded leopards, and those are also not snow leopards. So that's like a lot of information that I threw at you, but basically the clouded leopard is known to be the link between the big cats and the small cats. So they're kind of right in the middle. Like I mentioned earlier, they max out right around 40 pounds or so. So they're not considered a big cat, but they're also like kind of too big to be considered a small cat. They're right there in the middle.
So a medium cat.
A medium cat, yeah, for sure. And this is like a fact, just like a full-on fact. Clouded leopards are the best cats. I just feel
There's no opinion in that statement at all.
There's no opinion. They're just the best cats out there. Now, Hope here at the zoo has been living here her entire life. She actually was born here at the zoo almost 5 years ago. Her birthday's coming up in just a couple weeks here. And she lives with her sister Faith. You'll see us post about them often. You can see them checking out their enclosures here at the zoo. And then hopefully in the future, we're gonna have clouded leopard tours here at the zoo, so you can come meet Hope and Faith close up here in our VIP room, which is where we find ourselves today.
Now, they're not the clouded leopards on exhibit. Let's mention that.
Correct, yeah. So these are ambassador animals, and for those of you who have watched Take a Break with Jakes before, you have heard the spiel. Ambassador animals are animals here at the zoo that live behind the scenes, but come out for special events and tours and shows on grounds and programs off-site. They do a lot of different work here at the zoo, but they are not the exhibit animals here at the zoo.
I just saw a quick question, Jake, from Lee, and he wants to know, are they endangered in the wild?
So clouded leopards are considered vulnerable in the wild, and a lot of the classification of wild animals depends on data that we have about the animals in the wild. She likes to look through here sometimes, and then other times she's like, no thank you. Her sister's over there, she's like, nah, I'm good. So back to being vulnerable. A lot of things affect wild populations of clouded leopard, things like habitat loss and deforestation, primarily due to the production of palm oil, are kind of the main things that affect these species out in the wild, in addition to poaching. I'll talk a little bit more about palm oil later, but it's important to mention when we talk about poaching that it's easy for people to feel kind of emotional about charismatic species like the clouded leopard getting poached far away. Poaching happens right here in our backyard in the United States just as frequently as poaching happens elsewhere. So we can all do our part to help wild animals all around the world. It's not really about which animal is the cutest or which animal is the most important. It's about preserving all of the species, because without those puzzle pieces, our puzzle is incomplete, and we need all of those to have a healthy and happy population of creatures on our Earth. She's just moving around, showing off her hops. What do you hear? You can see her eyes like dilating a little bit, her pupils dilating a little bit, so she can kind of focus in on the noise. And most cats have somewhere around 25 to 35 muscles in each ear to move them around.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. I don't know how many I have.
I was waiting for you to tell me.
I can't move them. Update. Hi. Do you want to check for us now? Oh my gosh. There it is!
We did it!
I just had to be patient. I wasn't patient. Thank you. Here goes the milk. Good job. So cute. And here's a good look at her teeth again, Kelsey. I mentioned a little bit earlier they have giant teeth. Clouded leopards have the largest tooth-to-body ratio of any cat species. So that's kind of grounds to believe that they're kind of a relative of the saber-toothed cat, which is kind of crazy. Hi. Where are you going to go now? Perfect. Well, Kelsey, I mentioned palm oil a little bit earlier, so I think this is an opportune time to talk a little bit more about what palm oil is and how that affects wild species of animals, especially over in Asia. So the rainforest is growing, animals are out there living their lives. Humans need palm oil for a lot of things. You just took the water bottle. Okay, so humans need palm oil for a lot of things, and unfortunately the rainforest is a great spot to grow palm trees to make palm oil. That means people have to clear cut those rainforests to make room for the palm tree plantations. So instead of being able to kind of utilize the space along with all of the wild species, we have to kind of clear cut it to make these really, really easily grown plantations of palm trees. What that means then is that habitat loss is a really big thing that affects species over in Asia. But the good news is there's a lot that you and I can do to help out with the palm oil crisis. The biggest thing is trying to purchase products that are made with sustainably harvested palm oil. That process is a little more expensive for producers because they're not clear cutting the rainforest, but the byproduct of that is wild species have plenty of habitat with which they can survive. So you can go online and check out the Nashville Zoo's website. You can find a lot of information about palm oil and what you can do to make sure that you're purchasing products that are made with sustainably harvested palm oil. And that's a great way that you can help animals like Hope right here at the zoo. Hi.
Good question from Anna Grace. Are palm trees the same ones that we would find at the beach?
There are like so many species of palm trees. These ones that we have in here that she was chewing on, those are technically like a kind of palm. I think they're called majesty palms. There are dozens of species and then dozens of those species in varietals. So not quite the same thing, but similar. Oh my gosh.
Turn down.
Girl. I know. I think this is an important time to talk about too, Kelsey, when people see a cat on a leash and like someone touching them, when they think, oh, like Hope is sweet, she's domesticated. One of those things is true. She is sweet. She is absolutely not domesticated. She was born here at the zoo and hand-raised because her mother didn't care for her too well. And so our veterinary staff, our carnivore staff, and then my team, the behavioral husbandry department, we all work together to raise Hope and her sister Faith and have them become excellent ambassadors for their species. That by no means that they are domestic or like non-wild. Every day working with these cats, we're looking at their entire body language to make sure that they're comfortable, make sure there's no threat to us or to the cat or to anybody else out here. And that takes a lot of time and a lot of work with the cats. Hope has been living at this particular building for about 4 months now, and I've been working her in this room for about 3 of those months, and she's been doing an excellent job and feels very comfortable in here now, which is exactly what we want. The next step in her training is to get people she doesn't know in here to sit around at corners like they would in a real tour, just like Johnny is today. She's helping us out with that. And then we can eventually start inviting our guests in to see the clouded leopards up close. And for me, I always want to learn more about wildlife, and I always feel more impacted when I can get up close to them and learn about them face to face. And so we hope that this opportunity in the future will be a good one to help everybody learn more about clouded leopards and hope that they want to save them as well.
I have a good question from Ella Wynn.
Okay.
She wants to know, Jake, how you became Hope's trainer.
I really love cats, especially clouded leopards. And I was really fortunate to have been here 5 years ago when Hope and Faith were born. And then I was part of the team that helped work with them a lot. And I think the other thing that really helped out is that I'm a boy, and at the time we didn't really have any other men on our team, and they really like to groom hair. And as a male, society makes it more appropriate for me to have hair on my body than it does for women. So they like to lick my leg hair, they like to lick my arm hair, and that's like a social grooming thing that they do to each other and to other clouded leopards. So I became their close friend.
Shay would like to know, how can you tell Hope and Faith apart? Hold on, let's get a zoom in
Look
on
at
that
this
belly. Oh, sorry, bud.
She's like, is there milk involved? So if you look right here, Kelsey, this is how I tell our girls apart.
Oh, dear.
Oh, never mind. She's walking away.
Bye.
Their behavior is a really good way to tell them apart. Faith is a little more shy, and she likes to wait before she meets someone new. Hope is typically a lot more courageous and wants to just get going and meet everybody. But right here on the back of her neck, Hope has this little loop, and that's how I tell them apart. It's a really good indicator. A lot of our trainers can also tell by looking them in the face I honestly couldn't tell you what their faces look like. They're just cute. So I look at behavior and then I look for this loop. But really, once you start working with them, you see they have dozens of differences all over their bodies. And so I really just use the loop as like my confirmation. Their behavior tells me everything I need to know.
And you said that they're about 5 years old, right?
They turned 5 on May 28th. I had a panic on April 28th, thinking that it was their birthday. It was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I hadn't done anything for their birthday. And I was like, oh wait, that's a month away.
You've got a month to go, bud.
Yeah, we have time. You're being so good.
You are being really
Let's see if
good.
we can get another chuff. There we go. Girl. Thank you.
Can she roar? That's a question
no.
from Kemp.
So clouded leopards make a variety of vocalizations, but they're typically quieter than like a lion's roar. They make that chuffing noise that we just heard. That's typically a sign that they're like interested in being friendly to whatever is around. So they make that at their keepers. They make that to each other. They make a variety of like meowing and whining noises. You may have heard those a little bit earlier. And her sister, in a funny note, like her sister doesn't want to come into the VIP room as frequently. Faith like prefers to stay in her house, which is right next door. But typically, I'll give her the opportunity to come over here. She says no thank you, so I bring Hope in here. And then her sister sits there and whines the whole time because she's not getting the attention. So today, I gave her a big thing of frozen beef roast to say, let's just be quiet for this one time so that Jake and Hope can talk. Hi.
Let's see. John would like to know, would it be safe to have a clouded leopard at home as a pet?
Absolutely not. That's a great question. Wild cats do not make good pets. The private owners who may have wild cats in like a more professional setting might be safer about it. However, as a general rule, cats that are larger or different than a domestic cat that you can get at your local shelter or like pet store should not be in your home as a pet. These cats, like I said a little bit earlier, are super sweet and calm for the most part, but they're still wild animals. So I wouldn't even take her to my house, even though I know her really well. I don't want her peeing everywhere. I don't want her freaking out and tearing up everything. And again, she's a wild animal, so like you shouldn't have her as a pet at home. She's just like chilling back there. It's important to note too, like she's not scared at this point. She's really just exploring. I think a lot of times people will see animals that are like slinking around and getting back in behind things as like, oh, she's timid or frightened. She's not. She's really just taking her time to explore this room. Oh, Johnny. She's right below Johnny now. Johnny, I'm gonna let the leash go maybe and just have you grab it on that side for me. There she is.
Joey would like to know, does she have a favorite toy?
Let's see. Sometimes she really likes wood wool, which is a product that we have here at the zoo for a lot of our primates. And then we
Oh,
get
that's on me.
cats.
Awkward.
What's that?
I accidentally flipped the camera around.
So she generally likes wood wool, but she's been getting it a lot recently, so she doesn't really care about it much. When she was younger, she really loved stuffed animals, which we would give the cats as we were raising them to make sure that they played with those instead of people, because we really don't want a 40-pound cat treating me as a toy.
Right.
So we gave them stuffed animals all the time, and they loved playing with those up until the point where they started destroying them. And then it was like, it went from, I want to like tackle you and play with you, to like, oh, I want to rip your throat out and tear all the stuff out of you.
It's a fine line.
Yeah, and so that became a no-no toy for clouded leopards. Let me get back up there. There she goes.
Lucy wants to know, how big can they get?
Lucy, Hope here is full grown. I'm a full grown man next to her. So she's as big as she can get. I would say she's about 4 feet long, maybe including the tail. And she weighs about 37 pounds right now. She stands, like her head height is probably only 18 inches off the ground.
Do clouded leopards have any predators in the wild?
Certainly other species of cat may eat or attack the clouded leopard, but as a general rule, they're not preyed upon like left and right by tigers or leopards. Hi.
Ooh, interesting question. Jules wants to know what a typical day is like for Hope.
A typical day for Hope. We come in at 6:30 right now. So we come in at 6:30 in the morning. Hope and Faith are ready for breakfast. They get breakfast, which is like their main meal of the day, because leopards and other carnivores typically don't eat throughout the day. They eat just like one big meal. And we learned early on that our cats like to eat first thing in the morning. So we give her meat right first thing in the morning, and then she comes inside and she sits for a while, and then she naps, and then she sits some more, and then she and her sister may like look around at some things and like maybe look at their toys a little bit. But typically most of the activity happens overnight. So these cats are kind of crepuscular, kind of nocturnal. So they're awake at dawn and dusk, and then they're awake some of the night. And so that's where most of the action happens. So they do a lot of stalking. They have outside access here at the zoo, so they can go outside all night long. And they can check out all of the native wildlife that comes around, and you'll see them like stalking and like waiting for that squirrel to just inch close enough that they can reach out and grab them. And then they'll interact with their different behavioral enrichment that we offer them as well, typically overnight.
Jake, I've gotten a couple questions about her fur. Can we talk about the texture? Why does she have spots? Does she shed?
Yeah, she's always shedding. Here's some shed fur right there. It's always coming out, just like our hair is always growing and falling out and stuff. It's quite soft, much like your domestic cats at home. The weird thing about clouded leopards and other big cats that I've noticed in my experience is they kind of have like a weird like oiliness to them that then like dries up, and then it's like my hands are oddly sticky, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
So that's gross. Another good reason why we shouldn't be trying to touch big cats. It's gross. What was the other question, Kelsey?
Why do they have spots?
Why do they have spots? Well, the spots help break up their body shape and help them camouflage in amongst the leaves up in the trees. So they rely on those to help hunt their prey. What do you think, Hope?
Brian would like to know if they prefer warmer or cooler weather.
These cats are pretty hardy. Here at the zoo in Tennessee, you know, they experience a wide range of temperatures. They can go outside all the way down into the 20, 25, 30 degree temperature range, and they like always prefer to be outside. So you'll typically see them staying out there until we go say like, hey, you gotta come in, it's too cold for you. And then they'll stay outside even when it's upwards of 100 degrees. Of course, they'll be rolling on their sides and panting really heavily, but they have access to air conditioning, and they would just rather
They're just
outside.
making the choice, yeah.
Yeah. Can we come up here?
In the wild, would they be found more on the ground or in trees? Like, are they arboreal?
Yep, they're arboreal, so they live in the forest regions, and they're typically found up high in the trees. They have extra large foot pads, pretty giant claws on their feet. Oh, she's like, no thank you, I'm interested in the milk
Just
only.
the milk, please.
And then they have giant tails that help them balance up high in the trees. And once again, she's getting goat's milk squirted into her mouth.
That's the life, right?
It's very messy. There's a lot of goat's milk everywhere.
Yes, I got splashed earlier. You didn't warn me to wear my splash guard.
Right.
Let's see. Shay would like to know if they would like to hide.
Typically, clouded leopards are pretty elusive out in the wild, so they're not like going to be seen by humans a lot. In human care, because we hand raise these cats, they're pretty relaxed, and you'll notice that with our exhibit clouded leopards as well. They'll sit right out in the open. So I would say no, like as a general rule, they don't need to hide all the time. And because, like I mentioned earlier, there are tigers and leopards that range where clouded leopards range, but they're not really trying to hunt them left and right because clouded leopards are really good at getting away. So they don't really have to worry too much about hiding. It's more out in the wild they'll be elusive because people are loud and noisy and cause destruction in their habitats, and so they say no thank you to that.
Good question from Sarah Kate. Sarah Kate wants to know, how far can Hope jump?
Fairly far. If you look at these two tables that we have set up here, she can jump between those really easily. She can jump quite a bit further, she just doesn't want to. So what I'm doing, training her for that, is really slowly inching the tables apart from one another. So we do one good jump, one more, and then we'll like push one back an inch.
Yeah.
Try to get that going. But if you go too far at once, she just jumps to the ground and jumps back up, because that's easier. Can't blame her.
Nope, we gotta do what's easiest.
If I could have giant tree limbs in here coming out of the wall, she would jump between those a lot easier.
Speaking of tree limbs, I saw a question about how did she handle the storm?
She was inside, so she didn't care. I was freaking out. Thank you for asking. Faith and Hope were just sitting there.
Hanging out.
Didn't care. Thank you so much.
That was really funny for me.
I ran down the hall trying to make sure that our Binturongs and our cloud leopards were locked inside because we were like, oh gosh, it's like really hitting us. They were all inside because they're like, I'm no dummy, like I'm not gonna stand out in a storm.
Abby.
Good for you. And then I was like, ah! And they're just like,
what you doing? Why are you freaking out,
why are you
human?
freaking out, man? So then I had to calm myself down because you never want to panic the animals. Right.
Nicole,
Come on over here.
let's see. Reese and Addie want to know how fast can she run?
Pretty fast. They're incredibly quick while they're up in the trees, and that's like where they surprise a lot of people. Typically, they're not going to be found running a lot on the ground because they're built for climbing. And so they run through the branches of the trees from branch to branch really, really nimbly.
You mentioned earlier, but maybe you can just repeat. Tim asked about the leash training.
Yeah, so we started this when they were a month old, 2 months old, a long time ago, Tim. And so we got them accustomed to having a leash put on and a collar put on. The process at this point is we cue her to stand up and put her paws up on the mesh. And then we have a trainer outside the mesh who is reinforcing constantly with the milk or with meat. And then a trainer inside the mesh who is placing the collar around their neck. This has Velcro and a clip collar, which is nice and secure. And then just attach the leash right along to it. Then we ask her to come down and then exit her enclosure.
Elwyn wants to know, does she have a favorite food?
She really loves the goat's milk, which is what she keeps slurping up. But I've never known Hope or Faith to refuse a meal. Yeah, they love it all.
Do they have an excellent sense of smell and hearing?
Yeah, they have pretty great senses all around. Because they're nocturnal, they need to see pretty well at night, and so they rely on their eyesight for that, but they also can rely on their sense of hearing and their sense of smell. So they kind of utilize all their different senses, and that goes with communication too. They vocalize to communicate, they also pee everywhere to communicate. They use kind of every avenue that's possible. Hope-a-dope. Do you want to come back up here? She's very busy, intently sniffing down here.
It's very important.
Yeah, you can't eat the peace lily though. That's not peaceful. Hope. Well, I can't get her attention at this point. She's like, thank you everyone, goodbye.
There must be something good down there.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find one more last question. Okay, that's a good one. Good job. Ellen wants to know how many clouded leopards live at the zoo.
Oh gosh. That
You're
number
really
changes
good.
so frequently. I would say probably about 10 at this point.
Sounds right.
They're one of our flagship species, like I mentioned earlier, so they're kind of like our go-to species to help conserve. Over the years, we've gotten really good at it. Our head veterinarian is actually one of the species survival plan advisors. She's eating dirt. Well, you'll poop it out later. Good for you. So she actually does a lot of work with the species survival plan. And then our director, Rick Schwartz, has been raising clouded leopards in human care since, I think, 2000. And since we started breeding clouded leopards at the zoo somewhere in 2009, we've raised probably over 40 clouded leopard cubs and sent them all around the world to different zoos. Now, Kelsey, I would be remiss in my actions if we left our live today without talking about the Nashville Zoo gift shop online.
You're right.
I have this beautiful mask that was made for me by one of the keepers here. Shout out to Danielle, thank you very much. However, the gift shop is now selling amazing masks that are like in the form of different animal faces that you can get. It's shop.nashvillezoo.org.
Yep.
And a lot of the proceeds from our gift shop sales goes to help animals right here at the zoo. And as most of you probably remember, we are a nonprofit, and so every bit that you can give us during this pandemic really helps, because since we can't have our doors open right now to guests, we're suffering, and we want to put the animals' care first and foremost, and that's what we're doing, but we need your help. So donate if you can, buy some really cool merchandise at our gift shop online, which is shop.nashvillezoo.org.
Yep.
Thank you.
That was a really great pitch.
I did my best.
All right, so thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow on Facebook with
The farm.
the farm. Yeah, we're heading up to the farm. So you can check in on your favorite miniature horse, donkeys, the whole shebang. And we'll see you at 10:30 tomorrow on Facebook. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great day.